Welcome to the CU Soccer press conference here to kick off CU Fall Sports Media Day. On your left, we have Scout Watson, head coach Danny Sanchez, Taylor Kornieck, and Jalen Thompkins over on the right. They're coming off of their fourth NCAA tournament appearance in the last 5 seasons, and with 9 starters back, hopefully another strong season coming up here. We just ask that you please use the microphones. Nadia over there has one, and I have one over for this side. And I guess we'll start, Danny, if you just want to start with an opening statement.
Sure. Like every other of the other 334 Division I head coaches, we're excited to get going. Everybody's undefeated. But I think there's a particular excitement around the group this year. I think it starts with our 2 captains here that we'll talk about, Scout and JJ, in a minute. But big picture, we have a good group of young ladies that are committed. Like Andy said, we have some players that are coming back with a lot of experience. We have some players that missed last year with injuries that are back, and then we have 5 new players that have really fit in well, that are all have qualities, and so it'll be our deepest group for sure. Competition for playing time will be intense. The league is, as always, is brutal. Most of you know, 2 of our teams in our league played for the national championship last year. The year before, a different team won the national championship. So it's not up for debate that Pac-12 is the top soccer conference in the country. So we know that as good as we feel about ourselves today, there's 11 other teams in our league that are just as strong. There's no easy games. I think this could be a year like it was in 2014, where 9 of the 12 Pac-12 teams made the tournament, depending how it goes in non-conference. So our goal for the season is to put ourselves in a position to make the NCAA tournament, which is difficult to do. If we can host, that's great. And then really the next step for us is to take the next step. We did that in 2013. Associate head coach Jason Green was here, and our second season kind of came out of nowhere. But we've had some tough draws in the second rounds the last few years. So hopefully we can do some work in the next 20 games to put ourselves in a position where we can advance. And at that point, I feel that we have the quality, the leadership to be successful. Yes.
You talked about playing in the Pac-12 where you face that level of competition week in and week out. Now, there's a positive side to that. By the time you get to the postseason, you're tested. Maybe the negative side is the fact that teams end up getting beat up a little bit during the season because you're playing that level. Got to talk about that balance a little bit playing in a league like this.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be smart in your non-conference play. So we have 9 non-conference games. I think we have a good balance of home games. We have some tough road matches as well. So I think it prepares for Pac-12 play. I think the one advantage, and I go both ways on it, is we're one of only 3 conferences out of 31 conferences in the country that don't have a postseason conference tournament, which allows us to stretch the season out a week. So our last week of regular season, we'll have 1 game. We'll play Utah, whereas the SEC, the ACC, Big Ten, and so forth, some of those teams will play 2, 3, sometimes even 4 games in that week before the NCAA tournament. So, yeah, we'll beat each other up. But at the end of the day, we have 11 conference games stretched out over 7 weeks. So I think that you have to have depth, and you have to have quality, and you have to have a bit of luck on the injury side and the performance side. You need players to come out of nowhere like we've had in the past and kind of perform. But it's definitely it's a grind. You don't look any further than the results. In our league, Stanford won the national championship last year and USC the year before, but there's not a big gap between 1 and 12. There just really isn't.
Danny, how unique is it to have 2 goalies as you do that are voted team captains 2 years in a row, even though obviously one of them's not going to be on the field at any given time? How unique is that, and is that a luxury for you that not only you have 2 goalies you can turn to, but 2 leaders at that spot as well?
Well, when we announced it last year, I had about 15 or 20 phone calls from various coaches around the country saying, "What's wrong with you? What are you doing?" Mostly friends, but really just kind of. But at the end of the day, if you're a leader, you're a leader. Where you play doesn't matter. What year you are doesn't matter. And we feel we have 2 great captains. This is, to be honest with you, this is the first year we didn't even vote for captains. At the end of the day, it's a bit of a dictatorship, and I'll decide who's going to be the captains. But the team always vote. But it was just an obvious for them. I've never had 2 underclassmen that are captains. The fact that they play the same position. Maybe Scout, you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, JJ and I are really good friends off the field as well. So I really, I think our chemistry together to lead the team is, it's really strong, and the team bought into having two goalkeepers as captains because one's leading on the field and then one's always going to be on the bench as well. So it's nice having someone also off the field, but the team can also look up to. And, yeah, it just keeps the bench focused, and each one of us is always ready to go every practice and game as well. So.
And I've mentioned this last year as well. You know, if you were to roll out the team and you were to have a draft, you know, our goalkeepers would both probably be top 6 picks. They just happen to play the same position. It is what it is. It would have been easy for one of them to bail, but they gutted it out because they want to be a part of the program. It's all about the team, and of course they both want to play, but they understand it is what it is, and Jason does a great job with preparing them, and at the end of the day, it's my decision. But they're all about the team, and I think that was really key to our success last year.
Scout, maybe to follow up on that, why have you decided to stick it out at CU? Obviously, you know, co-captains and a lot of respect on the team, but you could have gone somewhere else and maybe gotten more playing time as JJ kind of established herself. Why did you want to stay here and gut it out?
I mean, I've gotten that question a lot from friends and family, but I just love this team and the school, and Jason's an amazing coach. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people would like second guess and want to leave as soon as they don't play. But for me, I think there's always a fight to get back in it, and it'd just be too easy to just give up and transfer when we're at a great program. And, yeah, I mean, we're in the toughest conference in the country. So, really, there's no reason for me to leave.
And she gets to spend more time with me, which is really, we share the same birthday. We go to breakfast every year on her birthday, so that's probably 50% of it, yeah.
You had a phenomenal freshman season, broke a bunch of records, had another very good sophomore season, but the production dropped a little bit. And you and I have talked about this, but maybe share with everyone else kind of how your sophomore season went, how you're looking for your junior year, and then Danny, maybe you can kind of chime in on how she was moved around a little bit last year.
Well, I was moved around last year. I played forward, which was a different position than attacking mid, so I feel like my sophomore season, I wouldn't say it would be a slump. I would say it just was different. I played a different position, and I didn't want my freshman year to be a peak, so looking forward, my junior year, I'm just going to go all in, and I feel a lot stronger, a lot fitter, and I'm just ready to go.
Yeah, I think last year we asked Taylor to do a lot. You know, we had with Jorian, you know, and then Libby, Jorian Bockham, who missed the season, Stephanie Zuniga, who missed the season, and then Libby Garrity, who got hurt in the first game and missed the season. So we were scrambling a little bit to find our identity. If you look at our results in non-conference play, we started well because we were great in goal and we were good in the back, but at the end of the day, it took us a while to hit our stride in conference play. I mean, I think we started conference play 1-4-1 maybe, so we really had no wiggle room. But Taylor does a lot of work on both sides of the ball that she doesn't get credit for, defensively on set piece, obviously on attack on the set pieces, and she's the focal point of the team last year, so everybody geared towards her. I think we have more pieces this year around her. We challenged Taylor to be more professional in her approach. So all the numbers we've gotten back, she passed the fitness test, which is very difficult to do. Her body composition is much better than it's ever been. So we challenged her, and so far she's risen the occasion. So we feel that her best soccer is still in front of her.
This for any of the players and the coach. Can you talk a little bit just about your non-conference schedule? You have 2 rivals, Colorado State and Denver, and what those games kind of mean to you guys as far as, I know the Pac-12 is the most important thing, but what those games mean to the program?
Yeah, so obviously we have a good non-conference schedule, and I think we just tried to get one game at a time. So August 16th we play Air Force, and we're going to obviously compete our hardest then. And then just obviously the rivalry with Colorado State and DU is important to us, and we just want to establish ourselves as the Colorado school and come out and compete every game and just kind of dominate the state, and that's part of the Colorado Cup, and we want to win that. That's always a goal for us. And then, so that's just our biggest thing, is just to win the state and then go from there, but we really just try to take it one game at a time.
The 2 players who sat out last year, Jorian and Stephanie, what do they kind of bring to an already deep team?
Well, those of you around for a couple years before that, Stephanie is just provided a huge spark for us. She probably is the best soccer mind on the team. She gets it tactically, technically. Obviously not the biggest player in the world, but sees the game, plays quality final balls. I mean, she tied with Danica Evans to lead our team in assists in 2016. And was a big spark off the bench. And then but usually finish the game. I tell the players it's great to start, but it's really who's in the game in the 110th minute in overtime against Cal, like she was when she served at Taylor when we scored with 2 seconds to go. That's when you want to be on the field. And I think Jorian is just kind of different than what we've had. Obviously, she has a lot of success at LSU. In the SEC, and Jason and I are familiar with her just in Arizona. She played with a Les Armstrong, who I used to play with way back in the day. So we've had a little bit of connection with her. I think missing last season wasn't the best thing, but sometimes it happens for a reason. She was able to get more fit, train in the spring, play in the spring, and then come in the fall and compete. But she also realizes that we have 2 forwards and Marty and Tatum that scored 14 goals last year, and Libby started the first game and earned a starting spot, and Camilla Shimka and Katie Joel had a great spring, and we have some freshmen in, so it's going to be very deep. I think Stephanie can play anywhere on the field. I think Jorian's she's different than what we have, a little bit more of the SEC player that we don't necessarily have that can really run at people, put them under pressure, and is a physical presence. So we're excited to see what she can do, and she's probably chomping at the bit to get into a real game.
Any of the 3 players, what are some of the team's goals for the season?
Obviously, what I just talked about was winning the Colorado Cup is a big goal for us. And then we want to obviously compete for a championship in the Pac-12, compete as much as we can. And I feel like we have a really good ability to do that this year, as well as if we do well in Pac-12 play and non-conference play, host a game, and then make a deep run into the NCAA tournament, hopefully breaking the second round. I think that's big for us and making it as far as we can to compete.
On that second round thing, we've talked about that a little bit. You guys have had some great success getting to the postseason and even always winning your first game, but you haven't gotten past that second round for a few years.
Yeah, just you have to get a good draw in the NCAA tournament, obviously, to get past that second round is what we've talked about a lot. And so we played South Carolina my sophomore season, and then last season North Carolina. And so we just have to compete better in the Pac-12 and just get lucky some games and win some games out. And then based off of that, we can get a better draw and hopefully host a game and then make a run. Yeah.
To be clear, we want to get to the tournament. And if we have to play Real Madrid in the first round, we'll be happy with that. So we don't want to look too far ahead here, but obviously in the back of their mind, it is what it is. And there's nothing wrong with having high goals and talking about them. You talk about them, sometimes they just happen. In 2015, we had our worst season ever. 2016, we finished second place, and we were second last game of the season. If we beat USC, won the national championship, we would have won the Pac-12. So you never know. You never know. So we don't get too far ahead of ourselves, but obviously the team has some goals, as we do, and we'll see how it plays out in November, hopefully.
You've talked a lot about getting over that hump and advancing. Tactically or strategically, what do you see as the one thing your team needs to improve on in order to do that?
Well, I think we're great in goal, as we've talked about. We have a lot of confidence in both our goalkeepers. We're good in the back. At the end of the day, if you look around the country, and I'm not going to go too far into Billy Bean and Moneyball, but at the end of the day, if you look at the teams that really advance to Elite Eight and Final Four, the second round or high, they score a lot of goals. They don't give up a lot of goals, obviously, but they score a lot of goals. So those teams that get over 50 goals for the season, over 2 goals a game or 2.5 goals a game, they're usually ones that advance. It's easier to defend than attack. So I think for us, we feel good about where we're in the back. We feel we have good experience. We have some good freshmen that we feel can help us. But at the end of the day, we need to be able to score against the best teams, and that's the most difficult thing to do, and that's for everybody. So tactically, I don't know if that's tactical, let's stick the ball in the net. But I think last year, especially if you look at towards the end of conference play, we really relied on our goalkeeping and in the back, and we were just gutting out wins, which is great. But to get to that next level, you need to be able to go on the road and score 2 or 3 goals on a really good team. And that's, we feel maybe we have some pieces this year that we haven't had in the past that can to lead to that. But only 11 of them get to play at a time, and hopefully some players early in the season as we get in conference play step up and show that they can really create in the biggest moments.
And we talked about Jorian, Libby. Well, she's not new to the team, but some players that haven't really seen the field much for us being able to contribute this year. Can you talk about some of the newcomers who might make an impact right away?
Yeah, we like, so, I mean, Libby is technically a freshman, but, she was, like you said, she was around last year. So we look at the 5 new players. Sophia Weiner transferred in for Virginia, had a good spring, very versatile. I mean, she's a former U18 national team player. Great kid, killed the fitness test. Can play in the back or the midfield. She realizes the competition, but she's done well. I think the 4 true freshmen that have come in, Jessie Lauren has done really well, we feel. Is versatile. It just has a quiet maturity to her. I think all 4 of them do, where I think she has the tools, the size, the mental makeup to make an impact right away. Kaylee Webb is athletic, different than what we've had in the midfield, I think, with a lot of our players. Still kind of finding her way, but we've watched them. We recruit these kids so early. We watched her play for 4 years, and every time we've gone to watch her play, we feel she's the best player on the field, no matter who she's playing against. So where she'll play will be interesting because, in theory, we have 4 starting midfielders back, but we'll get the best 11 on the field. Emily Gork is another player that's shown really well in preseason. Dad's a former professional soccer player for our first player out of St. Louis that we've had in this coaching staff, but is kind of reminds us a little bit. Jason talks about like Livia Papalardo, and it's just kind of glides on the ball, smooth, nothing looks too difficult for her. Also very fit and professional to her approach. And then Cheney Kingsbury out of Windsor, some of you in here may know. I mean, fast, flip throw, physically is ready to go. She'll have a lot of competition in the attack, but we're really pleased. We don't over-recruit, so the ones we bring in we expect to compete, and it's a good group.
I have 2 questions for you. First one, since you guys played USC 1 2 years ago, Stanford last year, does that help out your confidence when you're going to play against non-conference teams, when you know that your conference is that much more stronger?
Yeah, I mean, I think you want to get prepared for conference play, obviously, but we know that those probably the biggest tests we talk about it. At the end of the day, those last 11 games are our hardest games, just because of the quality up and down. But I don't think that the group has a quiet confidence in that we've seen the best, and sometimes we play well, sometimes we don't. You got to play well. You got to get some breaks. It is what it is. It's no different than any other sport. We're not going to just roll the ball out and have 2 lineups full of players that can win it. You could argue Stanford's team, their second team, could go to the Elite 8. But once again, in a 1-game situation, and only 11 players get to play, and you get these teams at home or you get them in the right environment, anything can happen in soccer. That's the beauty of the sport. So, yeah, I think the team is past the stage of being overly intimidated, and a lot of these players here have played against those players growing up. So, yeah, they know they're good players, but they also know that they're good players as well.
Second thing, how do you celebrate your induction?
I don't think I can repeat that. Is this live? Or is this are we filming this? It was to be honest, it was a great night. My former athletic director, Joe McDermott, who's out now at University of San Francisco, flew in. Adrian Alvarez played for us there, captain national championship team, then became assistant and became the head coach. Flew in. Just a lot of other family and friends. It was a lot cooler than I thought it would be at the time. And then my parents were there, and I had a speech. Maybe some of you were bored enough that you watched it. But I talked a lot about them and how proud I am of them, because they always talk about how proud they are of me. And I think that at the end of the day, as you all know, you're a reflection of your parents. And so it was really neat. I just hope that everyone's not putting me out to pasture, because I think the Hall of Fame, it seems like then you start closing up shop. So I still got a little bit more to my game, hopefully.
This would be for any of you up there, but how intensely did you watch the World Cup, and did you draw anything from Croatia making it to the final?
And then I was going to ask Taylor Scout.
I didn't hear. I just.
World Cup.
Yeah, I think all 3 of us watched mainly all of the games throughout the summer. And during the last couple weeks of tournament play, we were all here, so we watched them pretty much in 2 different houses. Half the team at one house, half the team at JJ and I's house. So yeah, we watched every game pretty much throughout the World Cup. And
the beauty of the World Cup, to your point, Dave, is Croatia's 4 million people, so it's Metro Denver and throw in Louisville and Boulder, and they could have won the World Cup. That's the beauty of soccer. It's anybody can win, any demographic, it's just biased, of course. Some of you may think the other football is the most popular sport, but and we love that sport too. But I think from a world stage, Jason and I reference it, and the coaching staff and Dave Morgan reference it all the time in training. We use examples of the world's game because at the end of the day, it's the same game. It's 11v11 on a field with a ball and 2 goals, and it's the same games that we all played since we were 6 years old. And so I hope they got a lot out of it, the passion of it. I think sometimes they make fun of the coaching staff a little bit. We go overboard. The day of games, we're in there 4 hours for the game watching Premier League. And maybe we should be watching film of the other team, but we're watching Premier League and other games. And we want to build a culture of passion for it. And I think we have a pretty good group of it.
Any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.